Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to the desktop for another retro RPG. And this time I would like to present this. Steve Jackson's GURPS, the Generic Universal RolePlaying System. Now this is the basic set, the 3rd edition, which came out in 1988. The 1st and 2nd editions had come out in 1986, and there was indeed a 4th edition which came out in 2004. Now GURPS is a generic role-playing system. It's designed so you've got the rules and you'd add a setting. Now, I suppose Dungeons & Dragons can be looked at that way, because you can play Dungeons & Dragons in Forgotten Realms, in Greyhawk, in Dragonlance, in Dark Sun. There's so many different fantasy settings. But Dungeons & Dragons is always a fantasy game, whereas GURPS is designed to be anything you want it. It's the rules and has add-ons for any setting you want. So you can see on the cover you've got a sort of cyberpunk there, you've got a fantasy sorcerer, you've got a guy in high-tech powered armor, and all of those can be mashed together if you want. So if you want to play a fantasy game, you go out and you buy GURPS Fantasy. If you want to play a cyberpunk game, you go out and you buy GURPS Cyberpunk and add those rules onto this book. There's GURPS Space, there's various other ones. But where GURPS really comes into its own is if you want to mash things together to create your own setting. Let's say you wanted to do something like Shadowrun, where you've got cyberpunk trappings, it's a high-tech world, but you've got the fantasy races. So you get the fantasy book with your elves, your dwarves, your orcs, and your magic system, and you get cyberpunk with all the cybernetics, and you combine those together to create your own fantasy world. And if you want to do that where there's orcs in space, you want to do a Warhammer 40k type setting, well, GURPS Space plus GURPS Fantasy. And you can do any combinations, so you can introduce into your hard-boiled detective thing vampires if you want, by bringing in GURPS Horror. And that's the real advantage of it, that if you've seen a movie or something that you want to take as an inspiration for a campaign or a few adventures, all you need is a couple of source books and the GURPS rules, and you can bring everything together. Everything's pre-written for you. And it's a very nice idea. It's a bit unwieldy, but I do genuinely like GURPS. So let's have a look at the back cover. Anytime, any place, any background. GURPS, the Generic Universal RolePlaying System, is the most flexible role-playing system you can use. With just this basic set, you can adventure in any world you can imagine. Rules are included for all types of weapons, from clubs to lasers, for wizards and magic with more than 100 spells, for psionic powers. No more switching game systems whenever you change campaigns. GURPS lets you learn one set of clear, comprehensive rules to cover any background. And the GURPS system is fully supported. Over 50 different world books, source books, and adventures are available for all kinds of campaigns, and more are coming out every month. There are even regular magazine Role Player specifically devoted to the GURPS system. GURPS makes the Games Master's job easy and fun. All rules are clearly written, indexed, and cross-referenced. Charts and tables are clear and legible. There's even a quick start section with 2 adventures to help you introduce the system to new players. And the rules let you choose the level of complexity that you want. GURPS is user-friendly for players too. The character creation rules are detailed and flexible. There are no classes or levels. Instead, you can create exactly the character you want to play, your favourite fictional hero or your own creation. Choose from dozens of advantages and disadvantages, over 130 skills for your character. Customize for some personal quirks, and you're ready to play. GURPS is a role-playing system that everyone can enjoy. You can create the game world that's perfect for you. See for yourself. Game designed by Steve Jackson, winner of the Origins Award for Best Role-Playing Game. And Steve Jackson Games. And that really sums it up. Anything you want to do, you can basically get in these rules. And there's lots of add-on books, many of them for pre-existing universes. I know they did the Prime Directive game, they did GURPS rules for that. So if you wanted to play Star Trek, there were GURPS rules for that. I think Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, I seem to remember there being rules for that. Just so many, as well as the very generic fantasy, space, cyberpunk, which obviously just cover those general settings. So, inside we have a quick instant characters guide with a character sheet, some hex paper, We've got forms to get Roleplayer, the GURPS magazine. And we're into the rules itself. A detailed contents page so you can find what you're looking for. GURPS stands for Generic Universal RolePlaying System. The name was originally a joke. A code word to describe the game. We looked for a real name. Years went by literally as the game developed. We never found a better name. GURPS may sound strange, but it really fits. And it goes through the different parts of it. We've got detail, more books for GURPS. So fantasy, as I mentioned, science fiction, including ultra tech, cyberpunk, superheroes, GURPS supers, GURPS time travel, including GURPS Camelot, China, Cliffhangers, Imperial Rome, Middle Ages, Old West, Robin Hood, Scarlet Pimpernel, and Vikings, as well as martial arts and high tech, from black powder to bazookas, and creatures of the GURPS bestiary. Modern day, so you've got GURPS Illuminati, GURPS Horror, GURPS Special Ops, GURPS Espionage, a licensed workbook for The Prisoner, Roleplayer Magazine, the Illuminati BBS, back in the old days when you had to dial up to a bulletin board. What is role-playing? So we've got the standard introduction section. Now, one thing you'll notice is GURPS is very heavy on the text. We have a lot of text on every page and just a few small illustrations. Now, I'm not a massive fan of that. I do like my big pictures, something to break up all the information. But GURPS doesn't really do that. We've got the basic attributes. We go through strength, dexterity, intelligence, health. Stats for children, physical appearance. So you can decide whether you want to be hideous or ugly, or right up to very handsome or beautiful. We've got wealth levels, so you're dead broke, right up to filthy rich. You've got your reputation, status, and we're into advantages. And we've got a lot of detailed advantages, but the system's based on points buy. So if you take an advantage, you're using up some of your points. If you take a disadvantage, you are getting points to spend on skills or attributes. We've got a lot of advantages in here, a lot of disadvantages. Odious personal habits. Primitive. Age. You can choose to be old or bad sight. You choose to be lame with a crippled leg, or even just one leg. You're alcoholic. These are mental disadvantages. You're paranoid. You're extremely shy. You've got a split personality. You've got a weak will. You've got dependents. So you've got competence of dependent. They're frequent, how often they appear. You've got enemies. And then you've got quirks, which are just minor personality traits. They're not advantage, they're not a disadvantage. We're on to the skills, and obviously these cover a lot of ground, because you're dealing with everything from I'm a primitive farm man out of a fantasy world, right up to I'm a spaceman piloting the equivalent of the Millennium Falcon. So we've got through sports, black powder weapons, beam weapons, battle suits, judo, karate, lasso, blacksmith, carpentry, different language skills. You're a naturalist with general knowledge of animals and plants, not that you like wandering around naked. That's probably an advantage or disadvantage. Got psionic skills, scientific skills, social skills, everything broken down, so many skills. Thief, spy skills. So you can be a pickpocket, or you can deal with poisons. We've got vehicle skills, so whether you can ride a motorcycle or use a vac suit. We've got encumbrance and equipment, so how much stuff you carry around with you. Choosing your weapons. Your move score, so how far you can run in 1 second. And then we're on to completing the character and developing the character. Detailing how they age, so you can spend a campaign as your character gets much older. Generating random characters. The rules themselves, how to do success tests. Fright checks, so you can have horror-like effects. Basic combat here. As I said, there's not a lot of images in here. There's some basic hexes here and just lots and lots of text. It's kind of what you're looking for because this is just a rules system. You're not building a world here, you're just giving indications. So I do approve generally of how they're doing it, but I don't find it very visually attractive. It's a bit daunting when you just open and there's all these pages of text. We've got hit locations, we've got close combat, ranged weapons, special situations such as subduing a foe or attacking with a shield. Breaks down all of those. Injuries, illness and fatigue. Mounted and vehicle combat. We've got flight. So whether you're a superhero or whether you're a dragon rider. We've got animals. We've got the magic system here. So if you want it to be a fantasy system, you've got all the rules here and all the spells. Communication and empathy spells, animal spells, air spells, pages of spells here. Light and darkness spells. Then we're on to psionics, so mental abilities. Telepathy. What have we got here? Telecontrol, psychokinesis, teleportation. We're on to the game mastering section. Running the game. Playing the adversary. Actually mentions Luke Skywalker there. What's it saying? Logically, Luke Skywalker would have been shot down. Frodo and Sam would have starved in Mordor. Tarzan would have been lion bait before he was 6 years old. A classic defies logic, and still you believe it because you want to. A good game is like that too. We've got game worlds detailing tech levels, so you want to have Stone Age civilization up to matter transmission, building Dyson spheres and all that. Transportation from wandering around on your feet and canoes and sledges, right up to matter transmission. Contragravity, faster than light star travel. We've got details of weapons and armor, power, medicine, improving skill in alternate tech levels. Because obviously if you're not used to technology, then it's going to be very difficult for you to learn to use it. Gold and silver, moving money between worlds. Slavery. Legal complications. Hirelings. Writing your own adventures. A detail for the games master on how to write adventures, how to write a good story. We've got charts and tables, so various parts of the body for hits, maneuvers you can do during combat. NPC reaction tables, so whether they're having a bad reaction to you or their reaction to you is excellent. Different weapons, right up to ranged. Modern and high-tech ones, so you can have a Gauss needle rifle, an HK PSG-1, an M1 Garand. Different high-tech weapons. Ancient and medieval armor. Modern, high-tech, or ultra-tech armor. Fantasy and medieval equipment. Modern equipment. Just detailing everything. A couple of character sheets. You can see strength, dexterity, IQ, and HT. What was HT? Hits taken. So your hit points. Your movement speed, your encumbrance. Active defenses. List of your advantages and disadvantages, equipment, skills, weapon ranges, just everything you kind of need. An introductory solo adventure. So choose your own adventure. Now try your roll. If you succeed, turn to 128. If you fail, turn to 102. So just to get you used to playing the rules, it will walk you through a solo adventure. A very good way of teaching you how to play the game. Caravan to Ein Aris, a GURPS adventure for 3 to 6 players. So a sample adventure for people to run, sort of standard fantasy fare. We're getting very towards the end here. Danny's little girl, the Abbey, the Vigil, further adventures in an island where this adventure was set, glossary of terms, and then the index at the end. And that is Steve Jackson's GURPS, the 3rd edition. As I said, it's a wonderful system. I've played it a few times. Games Master came up with a strange cyberpunk version of the television series V, where aliens sort of invade. And Earth had its own starships, and people were cybernetically enhanced and things like that. It was a bit off the wall, but it was a load of fun. We ended up with somebody who had super strength hurling cars at aliens, while somebody else was like a ninja and they were beating them up. Just loads and loads of fun, and you were able to throw your imagination at the game any way you wanted. And that's where GURPS really comes into its own. Anyway, that's all I've got to say on this one. Thank you very, very much for watching, as always. Please like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. But most of all, you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.